Hello and welcome back to Solomon's Cave. I've been doing a lot of thinking about how to proceed with Hebrew, since at this stage the logical step would be to start talking about a few small, technical and interconnected topics. But in what order should I present them? And shall I put all of them in one long video, or shall I make a few short ones, taking one little topic each time? In the end, I decided to cut it up into a few short videos. And it is probably easiest to start with a discussion about the Dagesh. So let's have a look at those little dots in the middle of consonants. Now if we take the 22 or 23 consonants of the Hebrew alphabet, let's first ignore the following letters: the Aleph, the He, the Chet, the Ayin and the Resh. These are the so-called guttural letters, since their sound originates in your throat. And there is also the semi-guttural Resh, which is included in this category. We can all safely ignore these 5 letters, since they cannot take any kind of Dagesh. All the other ones now can be divided in 2 types of letters. On the one hand we have the BeGaDKeFaT letters, and on the other hand we have all the other ones. The BeGaDKeFaT letters are Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Kaf, Pe, Tau. All of these can take a Dagesh Lene, and the Dagesh Lene makes the letter hard. Remember from the consonant video that the Bet could be either a V or a B, and then the Kaf could be a Ch or a K, and then the Pe could be either a F or a P, and the Taf could either be a T or a Th. Now technically the Gimel and the Dalet also have a harder and a softer variation, which is signaled by the presence or the absence of a Dagesh Lene. But for English speakers I've decided to ignore that difference because it is too small and I would probably personally also have some difficulty pronouncing the difference here. So let's just ignore those. As for all the other letters, they can only take a Dagesh Forte. No Dagesh Lene, only a Dagesh Forte. And a Dagesh Forte doubles the consonant. So take for example a Shin. If a Shin receives a Dagesh, it is always a Dagesh Forte, and hence you get sh as opposed to just sh. For example, Isha, which means woman or wife. Here you can see the Dagesh dot in the Shin, and that makes it double. So it's not Isha, it's Isha. It's a little subtle, I admit, but it's there. There is a double Shin. Or another example would be the Mem. The Mem is also in all the other letters. So if it has a Dagesh, it's a Dagesh Forte, and you get as opposed to Take for example this word, Immi, which means my mother. It is Immi because of the Dagesh Forte. It is not Imi. By the way, the big takeaway here is not so much pronunciation. Pronunciation is barely affected by this. This has to do with a technical grammatical issue that will become clear in the next video. Now the first fun begins with the Vav. Since if you remember from the vowels video, the Vav can take a dot inside of itself and that turns the Vav into a Shurek, which is a long U sound. And it looks exactly like a Dagesh dot, where you would expect a Dagesh dot in the Vav. So how can you distinguish between the two? If you see a Vav with a dot inside, how do you know if it is a W that is doubled, so a double W, or if it is a Shurek? Well, thankfully this one is quite easy to distinguish. Since if the Vav with a dot follows a consonant without a vowel, and the Vav itself also doesn't have a vowel, then it is a Shurek. But if it follows a consonant with a vowel, and it also has its own vowel, then it is a Dagesh Forte and hence a double W. Here's an example of a Shurek. Hu, which means he. As you can see, there's no vowel under the preceding He, nor under the Vav. So it is a Shurek and hence a long U. Here's another one, Tziva, which means he commanded. And here you can see a Hirek under the Tzadeh and a Kamet under the Vav. So the Vav has a Dagesh, which is a Dagesh Forte, hence a double W. Okay, and now we go to the BeGaDKeFaT letters. And this is where the real fun begins. Because if a BeGaDKeFaT letter has a Dagesh, it could be either a Dagesh Lene or a Dagesh Forte. And there is a relatively simple trick to distinguish between these two. And you have to ask one question. What comes before? And if you ask this question, there are three possible answers. Option 1. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. This is the first letter of a completely new word. Option 2. A schwa. And if the answer is either 1, nothing, or 2, a schwa, then it is a Dagesh Lene, making the consonant hard. And then option 3 is if there is a vowel preceding it. And those, by the way, are all of your options. Either there is nothing, there's a schwa, or there's a vowel. There are no other alternatives. But if the answer then is 3, a vowel precedes it, and it doesn't matter if it's a long vowel or a short vowel, but if a vowel precedes it, then it is a Dagesh Forte, and you write it double. So now let's look at some examples. The first example has nothing in front of it, so it is a Dagesh Lene and pronounced hard. Bereshit, which means in the beginning. Then we get to this one. The BeGaDKeFaT letter is preceded by a schwa, and hence it is a Dagesh Lene. So you pronounce it as mishte, and it means feast. And finally this word. The kaf is again preceded by nothing, so that is a Dagesh Lene. But the pe is preceded by a hirek, so that is a full vowel, and hence it is a Dagesh Forte, and it is doubled. You pronounce it as kipper, and it means he atoned. So there you have it. The mystery of the two Dagesh, or Dageshesh, or Dageshim, revealed. It is always a doubling Dagesh Forte, unless it is in a BeGaDKeFaT letter, and it is preceded by nothing or a schwa, in which case it becomes a Dagesh Lene, making the sound hard. Tomorrow I will continue the study of Hebrew and have a close look at syllables. Other Hebrew videos I will be doing in the near future will basically wrap up the reading part of Hebrew, and then we will start with nouns. Next week we will continue our investigation of the pre-Socratic philosophers and have a look at Anaximenes. In the meantime, you can follow me on social media and subscribe to my channel.